Hi everyone, this is Katie Groves, and I'm sorry if the background noise is heavy, especially the wind. Just doing this when and where I can. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about bathrooms and hygiene. I figure it'd be best to just combine these two. And I think I will eventually make more parts to the food video, but for now I'm just moving on to this. So I think the first thing that I think is good to determine is how hygienic do you care about being? Because some people just don't really care that much, and that can be a real asset when you're on the street. But for those of us who feel a strong drive to be more hygienic, it can be really difficult. I am one of those people. I am capable of going long periods of time without taking care of my hygiene and without really noticing, I think due to my dissociation and trauma and autism. But at the same time, I have a very strong need to do self-care. If I don't, I get really, really deeply mired down in depression. And so what I try to do is to strike a balance between these things and to work on my level of acceptance around not being able to be as hygienic as I want to be. But also at the same time, I work hard to maintain some basic self-care practices. The things I do that are most basic and most important to me are I brush my teeth once or twice a day. You know, sometimes I'm not able to do it, but I work very hard to do it at least once a day, if not twice. And I try to somewhat frequently shampoo my hair, which can be quite challenging. But I use sinks for that in single stall bathrooms, and it works pretty well. It sets off a lot of my sensory issues, but it is worth doing if I can't get to a shower. And then the other thing I do is I use wet wipes, mostly to just clean the most important areas of my body, to try to stay hygienic and to not stink too bad. But I try to use them somewhat regularly to clean off my whole body, and that makes a huge difference. And then other things I do, like I have deodorant, and I try to use that on a daily basis, but it can be difficult to remember for us. And I have something that I recently picked up off the ground that seemed safe to pick up and use. I have a facial cleanser that's really nice and doesn't set off my sensory issues too much. And I am working on using that more. So I will say one thing is that carrying around lots of hygiene supplies can be really taxing, and if you're someone who experiences some real variability in your functionality around it, it can be difficult, I think, when you're having a like an off period where you're not able to do as much. It can be difficult to justify in one's mind carrying around all that stuff. And we have really tried to think about it from a bunch of different angles for ourselves and figure out, what that balance is, and get ourselves to carry what we are capable of using when we're more functional, even when we're less functional in the moment. I feel like that was very long-winded. I hope that makes sense. I'm not an alter who normally makes videos. We're doing a lot of integration right now, so this is kind of hard for me. So I hope that you guys are bearing with me if I get kind of long-winded. So yeah, what else am I trying to say? Yeah, so that's the basic stuff for us around hygiene supplies and what our actual practice is. In terms of doing it, logistically speaking, so one of the most challenging issues for us is finding single stall bathrooms with sink that we can use to brush our teeth or wash our hair or whatever it is, where there isn't going to be a big line behind us and people waiting. money can be a huge issue, as a lot of times the only option is a coffee shop. But this is probably the most useful thing I can probably share here for anyone who's not aware. Starbucks, somewhat recently, has opened up their bathrooms to the public. So you no longer have to buy anything to use the bathrooms there. You don't even have to buy anything in order to sit there. And while I'm not a big fan of Starbucks for a bunch of reasons, this is one of the most invaluable tools for us with being on the street. If we don't have money for a cup of coffee, we can still go into a Starbucks bathroom somewhere and wash up, use the bathroom in general. So, yeah, different cities, different places have different levels of wars that are being waged on the homeless, and so different levels of bathroom access. I know that's not the only reason for there being variability in bathroom access in different places, but it's a huge thing. There are cities that are waging serious class warfare on homeless people and making public bathrooms very inaccessible as part of that. So, finding a place that you can survive homeless in this way and in general is very important. Some places are definitely easier than others. But yeah, coffee shops, very useful. If there aren't Starbucks around, if you have to shell out a couple bucks for a cup of coffee, I know that it can seem like a lot just to use the bathroom, but sometimes it's just what you gotta do. So yeah, we work very hard to be mindful of the spaces that we use. A big issue can be people automatically assuming that because we are homeless, we are going in to do drugs in the bathroom, and if we take a long time, people can get impatient, and it can confirm to them even more that must be what we're doing, as if we couldn't possibly be brushing our teeth or washing our face or something like that. But then at the same time, lots of places have strict rules that you're not allowed to do that in the bathrooms, and so trying to argue your case with management about it when you're already doing something you're not supposed to be doing can be difficult. But definitely learning the area that you're in, if you're in a single place, and trying to figure out which places have the resources you need and which places are friendly to you is so important. I mean, if you get on good enough terms with people at certain coffee shops, they might just give you free drinks. They might just let you use the bathroom whenever, when they might not necessarily let others do it. So one thing I can say that's very valuable is building up a rapport, if it's possible for you to do so. Going to a place frequently but not too frequently and being respectful every time can really help businesses start to trust you and become more comfortable with your presence. There's a coffee shop that my partner and I go to that is a little more upscale, and a lot of the customers at the shop really seem to resent our presence, but the staff who work there are really chill and really like us, and so because we don't cause any actual problems, we're able to hang out in this space even with the climate of hostility from some of the patrons. So yeah, it's very good to be on good terms with staff if you can manage it. I'm trying to think what else to say. I think with the hygiene thing, so much of what can get us depressed is how poorly people will treat us when we're struggling to take care of our hygiene, and also how poorly people can react to us if we're trying to do it. Like, not just in bathrooms, but outside. Like, the other day, my partner was trying to wipe his feet down with wet wipes at our campsite, and this woman walked by and made a face and said something passive-aggressive to the person she was with, and was just generally acting like a very, obnoxious, hoity-toity rich person. And it just really got to us, it made us laugh, but in a sad way, because, we always want to shake people and just be like, look, do you want us to do self-care or not? A lot of people are so prejudiced against the homeless and so just crazed about it that they don't even think through the absurdity of some of the ways their prejudice manifests. So yeah, there are always those people are like, They would complain to no end if you're not totally clean, but if they dare see you doing anything to try to get clean or be clean, they react poorly too, and it just feels like there's no winning. And so that's just a huge thing about homelessness in general, having that attitude of, with some people, you just can't win, and so just not being bothered by it, that is something that we work really hard to cultivate. Okay, I think that's all I've got for this. I feel like I probably missed a bunch of things, but I don't want to ramble on too long either.